and it comes at a great price.
So there is Mark Cuban, the shark investor from ABC's Shark Tank and the owner of the NBA champion of a couple of years ago, Dallas Mavericks. He will have the green flag in his hand a moment from now. He's taking in all the radio instructions he's being given. You want to get it right. And what's the one instruction you give the guy waving the flag? Don't drop it.
He looks very focused. He probably looks more focused than the drivers do right now.
Well, you know, when you talk about drivers, I always remember this because you're here all month. It's dark and gray. Today, warmth, color, movement, fans. And boy, we better get our foot on the gas down to turn one.
3 abreast coming to the start. Field tense.
Everybody's extremely tense. Everybody knows that they have to get through it without having a problem, but inevitably somebody will see an opportunity and start racing way too early. But having these 3 cars abreast is not easy.
Everyone wants to win. Only one will. Coming down for the start of the 98th Indianapolis 500-mile race. Trouble toward the back. Looked like James Davison had to make an avoiding move in that aquamarine car. And also Ryan Briscoe perhaps showing some smoke from behind that red, white, and blue 8 machine.
Oh, I think that smoke was from the rubbing wheels. Anytime you do that in open wheel cars, usually something worse happens. A lot of luck for those guys today.
James Hinchcliffe leads lap 1.
Not a good start for Ed Carpenter. He got gobbled up on the outside from Hinchcliffe and then had to play defense.
You know, it's funny, we always talk about getting through turn 1 like we just did a minute ago, Eddie. You know, because you've been on the front row, I've been on the front row. My goal was to lead to the first turn, the first lap. We say conserve, wait for 500 miles to win this race, but there's a lot of pride at stake.
I think Ed is lining Hinchcliffe up, and he'll get him at the end of the straightaway turning into turn 1. And this will be, other than the start, the first real pass of the day.
He's looking, will he get the draft and make that dive on the inside going through? We'll wait and see. Not enough.
So Hinchcliffe, Carpenter, Power, Castroneves up to 4th, just passing Marco Andretti on that second lap of the race.
So at this point of the race, nobody really has a rhythm yet. They're still trying to find out what sort of a car they have.
Saw the smoke off the second turn. Ryan Briscoe, pole winner of a couple of years ago, is on the pit lane.
When your left rear is down, you're going to lock up the right front. Left rear looks good, guys.
So Briscoe goes a lap down early in the race. Wow.
Briscoe very lucky. Off of the wall.
They were both very lucky.
Here he is. He's in dirty air. He's up a little too high. They call that in the gray area. He's going to run out of track right now. He does. A little touch to Villeneuve's car, and he has to respond, go over to the left. And Davidson gets through. Look how sideways he is. And the lockup from Davidson's brakes right now. So not something you expect on lap 1.
That smoke we saw was both cars braking, not both cars rubbing of their tires, which was a much better alternative.
But we stay under green, and Briscoe back in the race, though 1 lap down in 33rd position. This race a year ago had 68 lead changes. Weather conditions today a good bit warmer than they were for this race a year ago. When I talked to drivers and team managers in the paddock earlier this week, they weren't sure we were going to see that same kind of race because they thought the handling in the warmer weather might get a little edgier.
The drivers don't mind driving when it's hot. They don't like having tested when it's cold and then racing in the heat because they're not quite sure how their cars will react.
You can see from the Honda telemetry right now, we're getting about 224, 25 miles an hour straight line speed. We're seeing up towards 229, 230. Everybody's trying to get into a pace right now. Watch the throttle. Anytime the guys have to take their foot off the throttle, means the car's not working as well as they'd like it to. Now watch the speed here. It's a little faster down at turn 3 today because of the wind. Down one shift. You heard him go down from probably 5th to 6th gear. So for Elio Castroneves, very smartly going into lines, just sitting in 4th and conserving fuel.
So the lead group, Hinchcliffe, Carpenter, Power, Castroneves, Marco Andretti, Scott Dixon running in 9th position. The winner from 2008, and on a lot of folks' minds, including yours and mine, Eddie, as a likely contender for the win today.
Scott is a method driver with an enormous amount of talent. From the first lap in the race, he has a strategy that he's worked out with his engineers. And I have to assume at this point, he's trying to go as fast as he can, feel his car, but he has this magic ability to save fuel. Every little bit of fuel that you save allows you to gain positions on track because you won't be spending that much time in the pits. And he does it so purposely and with such a professional attitude that he doesn't get caught up in the moment.
Early check-in on Kurt Busch in his bid in his first Indianapolis 500. He took the green flag in 12th position. Kurt running in 15th now. This not the car that he intended to run in the race. He had that wicked crash here in practice earlier on Monday. The team deciding to take Marco Andretti's backup car, swap the coloring, and put Kurt Busch in that machine for this race. He was able to get a little bit of practice here on Card Day Friday.
And Alan, it's not very often you get away with the type of crash that he had and walk away from it with some type of injury, so he was very lucky. But he did say that he just let his guard down just for a minute, and he found himself going into the wall.
If they were to name a Mr. Congeniality in racing, it'd be the guy who's leading. The bright personality of James Hinchcliffe also is pretty darn fast behind the wheel at the Brickyard.